Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. And this is a paid request for 2JC. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal. Usually the best bet, just make sure to use the family and friends option. Otherwise, PayPal takes a cut of it. I do have a PayPal and a Cash App. People have asked about those. Links are down below in the info box. I'll get to them as soon as I can. But 2JC wanted me to do a comparison video between Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, which I did not remember these films, so I had to flip through them at the end to remember these movies, because I'm not a fan of these movies. The first Avengers is okay. Age of Ultron, what the fuck is that? Ultron, like Captain Ron, Ultron. I like that movie quite a bit. That's actually my favorite Avengers film. These two, I always thought they were overrated. I wasn't big on them. There are good elements. I think Robert Downey Jr. does a wonderful job in both of the movies. I think he has some good funny lines. I think he has some good emotional turns with the character. And you could say he's easily the MVP of both films, which is one of the many reasons why they're getting him for Doctor Doom, which I don't see how that's going to work, man. I really don't, but that's a whole other thing. It's cool to see Chris Evans as Captain America, because I like all three Captain America movies. I'm sorry I'm taking a pause, and I kind of sitting there going, how do I even start with this? Long story short, if I have to choose which one I like more, it would be Endgame, because there is an ending to it where you have the big final battle where people get their moments to shine. You have this nice bit with Robert Downey Jr. where he's got a daughter, and it's kind of those, he knows what he needs to do, but he doesn't want to jeopardize that. The action scenes I thought were a bit more memorable in Endgame. But they both have so many issues. Number one, the runtime for these movies. Infinity War is like 2.5 hours. Endgame's like 3 hours long. Now, to be fair, Age of Ultron was a long film as well, but it didn't feel long to me. These did. And I would say, like, Infinity War, I hate more because, okay, this is what I put with Infinity War, like writing down notes. Oh, Hulk gets his ass kicked like a bitch. And we never see Hulk again because it's like being scared, afraid, hidden in Bruce Banner for the rest of the movie. To the point that he's got to use like the Iron Man Hulkbuster suit. So I thought, wow, that's a bit disservice for Hulk. And then you see what he turns out in Endgame. My friend Effrey is like the biggest Hulk fan. I don't know if he's seen these two movies, but he would lose his damn mind. So what they did with Hulk, what I thought was just piss poor. Thanos, I never gave a fuck about Thanos, the purple dildo walking guy. It looks like a giant purple vibrator. I never cared about him. I think Josh Brolin is doing a good job, but I get that his motivations are he feels there's too much stuff there's too many people, overpopulation, there's not enough resources, so half of them will be fighting it over and all this stuff, so he wants to end suffering. So by killing half the universe, people will be more, I don't know, more appreciative. what I remember in the comics was that there was some figure named Death that Thanos wanted to impress the bitch. So this could be like the craziest way for him to do it. But we can't have someone be an evil guy. He's a bad guy, but there's something about his reasoning that I don't give a rat's ass. I don't. I never cared for it. I don't even care about talking about it. Because I don't find it that interesting. People do. Many people do. Good for you. Bravo. I'm glad you do. I don't give a fuck. Thanos kills Loki. Bruce Banner gets jettisoned to Earth. He finds out the Avengers are broken. And he's like, broke up? Like the Beatles? So you still have humor in this. Like all these films, no matter how serious they're supposed to be, they're always going to have humor. But to be fair, there's a few that did make me laugh, to be fair. Thor gets picked up by the Guardians of the Galaxy. Scarlet Witch and Vision get attacked, and Captain America comes in to help them out, as does Black Widow. Thanos grabs his daughter Gamora from the Guardians of the Galaxy. Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, and Iron Man try to fight this wizard creature that's working with Thanos. Also, there's this other guy. There's two bad guys. So Spider-Man and Iron Man are taking care of one, while the other pretty much beats the shit out of Doctor Strange and wins. And that's what I mean, like, it makes the Hulk look weak as fuck. It makes Doctor Strange like a weak ass. This is where Thor is getting more and more goofy. Well, to be fair, no, that's not true. Thor Ragnarok did that. This is after Thor Ragnarok. So, his brother Loki has just died. Half of his people just died. It wasn't all, it was half his people. So he's serious at first. But then it's this kind of Chris Pratt trying to imitate. And you try to imitate the God-Man. Talking back and forth. Well, okay, I'm being unfair. To be fair, in this scene, Thor is trying to take it seriously. To be fair. And he wants this weapon. To be fair. I guess I'm more thinking of the ending of... I'm thinking more of Endgame, where Thor becomes much more of a joke. So I guess, if you're talking about Thor, it was done better in Infinity War. But his whole plot is just, I need to go get a weapon. Which I thought the whole point of Thor Ragnarok is, did I make you a god of hammers? You're the god of thunder. So, as if he don't need a weapon. But now he does need a weapon. So, okay. You didn't need a weapon, but now you do need a weapon. You destroy Mjolnir, but then you find a way to borrow it in Endgame, so you'll have Mjolnir back. Okay. So it's a shorter film. Hulk, I think, is crap in both films. In Infinity War, he gets his ass kicked, you never see him again. Even though a trailer said he was in Wakanda fighting people, running with the Avengers, but that was a lie. They lied to people. And Endgame, I get that there's a smart Hulk. I know this man. But the way they portrayed him, where he looks like Steve Urkel and he's taking selfies, is, hey, how's it going? And ain't it true, right? Ain't it true? And he sees his older self when they go back to 2012 and he's embarrassed of himself and he doesn't know how to smash things anymore. And I'm sitting there going, is this really what you want out of the Hulk? I get that there's a smart Hulk in the comic. I do get that. But I'm not an expert on those comics. But why do I have a feeling they're still not as dumb and pussified as this. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. So Hulk sucks in both movies. Thor is more serious in this one, but in the next one, he's a damn joke about the Lebowski and what people call him Lebowski. He gets fat. He's getting mad at people who's playing Fortnite. He's talking to his mom, but he's blubbering like a baby, like he's a 10-year-old kid. I'm like, what? He gets his ass kicked by Thanos. Like, you're the guy. Not only are you the god of thunder, but you got your fucking weapon that you're supposed to be cutting his head off, and you can't do anything in the fight. You fat fuck. The Guardians of the Galaxy out there were wasted in both films. They were pretty much there to serve a plot point, which is Gamora gets taken, she gets killed. When they're on the planet Infinity War, where the Guardians and Iron Man and Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, they're this close to taking the glove off, the gauntlet. Chris Pratt finds out Gamora's dead. He screws everything up. And leads to half of civilization, half the universe getting blinked out. I remember people were telling me, because I said, well, that's really stupid of the character. Well, he's being emotional. I understand. But you tell me there's not one person that would call him out on, you led half the universe dying. Including yourself, dumb fuck. Nobody called him out on it? Even, like, you would think yourself would kick yourself in the ass for doing that. Like, you caused the death, and you didn't really do anything to help fix that. Because you were gone. And they had to bring you and half the universe back. And that was never explored in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Or even the bit they were in Thor Love and Thunder. It was never explored. It was never talked about. It was never brought up. And I thought that was such a big grievance I had with that. And what did they do? What did they do? What did they really accomplish in helping? It was more other than Nebula. The idea was plot points. Well, we need someone to screw up them getting Thanos. Chris Pratt. We need Nebula because we need someone to get the Thanos of 2014 whatever to Earth. That'll be the other Nebula. So it's just these plot points, but what did most of them do in Infinity War? Rocket, follow Thor. Thor's story is, I gotta go get an axe. Then I go down, beat a couple people, and I miss the head. I don't go for the head. Good job, butt boy. So I thought Thor sucked in both movies. Because Thor, he didn't really do anything in Infinity War. And then he was a doofus in Endgame. Captain America didn't have a whole lot to do in Infinity War. He helped Scarlet Witch and Vision. He fought some random creatures, but there was like no character to him in Infinity War. Like, there was barely stuff for him to talk about. Like, there's no time for that. There's no the character work, development, anything. I do think Captain America was done better in Endgame, whether it be after the blip, as they call it. He's trying to help people deal with it. So is Captain America still trying to help people in any way he can, giving good speeches, helping get the suitcase for one of the Infinity Stones. Although I don't really care for, that really is America's ass. I don't know. Just was a weird thing for Captain America, of all people, to say. I'm trying to think. Oh, one moment I did laugh in Infinity War was when Iron Man first meets uh, Chris Pratt. Although I don't see how Chris Pratt gets the gun on Spider-Man, because I'm sitting there going, does Spider-Man not have Spidey sense? And number two, didn't Chris Pratt's character lose his god powers in the second film? I thought that's what Caruso said. Now, of course, he was born that way, but he doesn't have those crazy powers. He just has a gun. I mean, is that supposed to mean he's super strong? I mean, he never really displayed that any other time. So, you tell me Spider-Man can't sense him and Spidey sense? Like, the fact that Spider-Man, I don't care how young he is, Chris Pratt gets a drop on him with a gun on him, it just made Spider-Man look like a pussy. But I do like this change. Like, Chris Pratt and Robert Downey Jr., I think, worked well together. To the point I kind of wish we saw more of just those two. Where he's like, you're from Earth. No, I'm from Missouri. Missouri is Earth, dipshit. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. is the MVP. Like, he was the best part of these two movies. He really was. When he said, Missouri is Earth, you dipshit, that made me laugh my ass off. I did like that, and his reaction to when they lose and Peter Parker drifts away. In Endgame, when he sees him and the look on his face and the hug. The few scenes he shares with Captain America. Well, quite a few scenes in Endgame. Robert Downey Jr. is a win in both of them. Like I said, Infinity War? For a movie that says Infinity War, it just... There's two fights. One that Iron Man, Spider-Man, and Doctor Strange are a part of. One that a little bit that Captain America, Star Witch, Vision, and Black Widow are a part of. And then you have these two fights at the end where the one team's trying to fight Thanos, and the other team are fighting these random creatures on Wakanda. Was honestly, you can maybe be entertained by some of the stuff fighting Thanos, where like Doctor Strange, all the stuff he's trying to do, and Iron Man trying to use all of his tech and all the other stuff. The Guardians didn't do shit. I mean, okay, I like the bit where Chris Pratt puts bombs and he does the middle finger as he jumps through. That was kind of funny. But on Wakanda, I honestly can't remember anything that happened on there. I can't. And of course, I think people knew something was going to happen because they already said there's going to be a two-parter, so you know something bad is going to happen. And thus it does. They lose. Good job, Chris Pratt. And then half the people are gone. And then you go to the next one. But I guess my point is, I don't need... If you're being honest with yourself, you don't really need to see Infinity War. Meaning, they fight Thanos, they lose. Go see the next one. And it's like, you could watch a highlight for 5 minutes and get all the information and then move on. It's just... I just don't find anything that entertaining, that exciting, that satisfying, other than, like I said, Captain America doesn't have a whole lot to say. Really not much dialogue. There's no time for character anything, because from the get-go, it's we're on the serious threat. And you get to Endgame, you know, the Fat Thor yelling about Noob Master on Fortnite. I don't know, man. Endgame, I would give a little bit more credit because Infinity War, there was no time to stop and let the characters kind of breathe. Here, you did. Granted, I don't think it needed to be 3 hours, but you have the beginning where they get Thanos, they try to get the Infinity Stones, they're gone. Thor cuts his head off. It's years later. And again, we see what Captain America's doing. Jeremy Renner, who I don't remember anything he did. Was he even in Infinity War? No, I don't think so. Yeah, because he was at his family's place and then found out his family was gone. Because that's really how this Endgame opens. The fact that he's a vigilante, and then later on when he's protecting the gauntlet and shooting these creatures, at least Jeremy Renner has more to do, and I always like Jeremy Renner. I like the Iron Man story where he's got this daughter, and weirdly enough, it all worked out for him. He's got Pepper, he's got his daughter. Even though they lost, technically he won. Because it all worked out for him. So it gives an interesting dichotomy of what he should do and not do. Black Widow, I don't know. If you like the character, I don't know how you would feel about this movie and just what they do with her, and just they built up all the stuff between her and Bruce Banner, and Bruce Banner gets pissed that she's dead, but it didn't really amount to anything. It didn't really go anywhere. And like, she didn't even get to have her own movie until after she died, and it just felt like a weird thing to do. Thor is a joke. Fat ass. Like I said, Hulk is giving people tacos for some reason, and they're playing Mexican music. Like, why is he giving people tacos? What are the hell? What the fuck? Captain America has more to do. The action scenes. I mean, the third act where everybody comes back. Everybody. To there, Gary Oldman, Leon the Professional. Everyone. There's entertainment to be had if you don't mind the humongous CG smorgasbord. But like, this is the first and only time you don't see everybody in the same scene. There's Captain America doing that. There's Iron Man doing that. Iron Man and Pepper Potts working with each other. There's Spider-Man doing all this stuff, and all these characters working together. And granted, I could use a lot less Captain Marvel, but of course they had to put her in there. That one scene that was so stupid where all the women, I just decided to stop fighting and go, where's the woman at? And get all together for the woman power scene. I'm like, either it was very convenient that all the women got to this one spot of the battle, or they all, hey, there's a chick. Hey, there's a chick. Hey, there's 4 chicks. Let's run over so we can pose and fight together. It's like, that was fucking stupid. And it just... So, Endgame, Hulk I hated in it. Thor I hated in it. I like Robert Downey Jr. I like Captain America. I'm not sure about the way they ended. Like, Robert Downey Jr., you know, I felt bad that his character died. Apparently, if you heard that, the cat, he's complaining about that too. Mourning for Iron Man. But I will admit, because I like the character, I hated seeing him die, but he did go out like a boss. And I did enjoy his final line, where Thanos, was it? I am inevitable. What? I am Iron Man. That was pretty badass. I would admit that was pretty badass. And I really felt sad, mourned. He was the best part of these two movies. I thought they did that scene fairly well. The way Tom Holland and Don Cheadle and Gwyneth Paltrow reacted to it, I thought was well done. Even Chris Evans and such, when they're seeing it from afar. I thought that is an interesting touch, the funeral scene, where it kind of pulls back and sees like all the different like franchises of the people. Sort of a nice little final cue for the Marvel Universe at that point. Captain America, the way they ended his character, I go one of two ways. On one end, because I like that character so much, it was nice for the individual to have a happy ending, where he got to have his dance and live a peaceful life with the woman he loved. But, there's a big but, it's not America's ass. You're telling me, number one, Peggy, we saw in these films, she did eventually have a husband and kids. They do this weird thing with time travel too, where it's like, well, you don't change it, you just have an alternate future. So I guess like I don't know how the fuck they said, well, it's not like changing the past. You can't do it like Back to the Future, because they reference like Back to the Future, Time Cop, Bill and Ted. They reference like every time travel movie, and they go, no, it's not like that. Because your past is your present, and your present is your past, and your mom's your sister, and your dog is dead, and then your ass is in your hand, and you're squeezing it. What the fuck else they say? And it's like, it just gets confusing to the viewer. And yes, time travel doesn't exist, so we don't know for certain what the rules are, but because so many people are used to it in a variety of movies, when you change it up, it's going to take a bit for people to kind of understand, and they go, well, wait a minute, you're doing this, but you're saying it doesn't matter, but then what about it? Just, whenever you get time travel, it's always going to raise a lot of confusing questions. And it did so with Endgame. So Captain America, did Peggy still have her kids and stuff in that world? But at the same time, if he stayed with Peggy, that would not be, because he's there as, he looked like Joe Biden, to be honest. I don't know why. I thought he looked like Joe Biden when he was old. Joe Bidet. But, I'm sitting there going, okay, so Peggy didn't have those kids anymore with the husband? And then I'm also thinking, well, wait a minute. So Captain America, he just quit? He just quit? So 9/11 happened, and he didn't try to stop it? Like, all these other things happened, he didn't try to stop it? Does that sound like Captain America to you? Also, what was I going to say? Also, how did he return the stones? Like the one with there's a stone where Black Widow died, and they said when you get the stone or you gotta put it back, you have to give a life. What did Captain America do? You have to like sacrifice a life. What did he do? Maybe he saw Red Skull and said, today's your unlucky day, and then slam his ass, and then Like, how did Captain America return that Infinity Stone? Wasn't there an Infinity Stone that was with Natalie Portman? Like, in her or on her or something like that? Did he even know? I guess, would he know who Natalie Portman looked like? And Asgard and where the hell to go for that? I don't know, man. But there's another thing. Captain America quit. Just a weird notion that he would quit and 9/11, like he wouldn't do any of that. He wouldn't help out. There's something about that bothered me, and I can't remember what it was. I'm trying to think about it. Probably maybe it'll come to me later, but so that's what bothered me about him. Like, so he just quit. Oh, that's what it was. In Avengers: Age of Ultron, if you watch that film again, which I did, I did the review. At the end of the film, he's talking with Robert Downey Jr. And he mentions about how it's time to let the past go. It's best to start going forward. I'm home. And that was like the whole story of Captain America, was to let go of his past, because it's the past. And it's time to go forward to the future, the now. Except it doesn't here, because he just went back and stayed in the past until he got old. Didn't I have one final scene with Bucky, which Bucky was pretty important, so you're not even going to have a conversation? You're not even going to talk? And why the fuck is he giving his shield to Anthony Mackie? Like, he knew Bucky a lot longer. It was his dearest friend that he risked a lot in Civil War. Why is he giving... and I like Anthony Mackie. I do, but why? And also, with the shield, don't you want someone who's super strong? A super soldier? Like the Winter Soldier? Anthony Mackie can fly. He can shoot guns. But he doesn't have super strength. You really think that's the best guy to do it? Do you? You know? Why? That didn't make any sense to me. And I like Anthony Mackie, but that didn't make any sense to me. So, yeah, there's a lot of things that bother me about both these fucking films, man. They do. And I could go another half hour, but it's already 33 minutes. I don't like either of these films. I would say Endgame was the more tolerable to watch, because there were moments of trying to have characters breathe, interact, talk to each other. And like I said, the bits with Robert Downey Jr. Even Robert Downey Jr.'s character seeing his dad when they go back to get something. Like, that was a nice bit of sequence. Again, the scenes that... I like the scenes between Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. I think they work well together. Like I said, the big fight... And of course, how could I forget... Yes, it raises questions, but being a Captain America fan in this universe, him being able to use the Thor hammer and the shield and to give Thanos a good fight was pretty badass. I thought it was the most badass part of the movie. And they did hint at that in Age of Ultron, where he's getting the hammer and it moved a little bit. So it was cool that was paid off. I guess when you get the hammer, then I guess you then know all the power of Thor and how to do that stuff. Because I'm thinking, how the hell did he know how to do this and get the lightning? But I guess the hammer gives you that info. It does make Thor look like more of a bitch, because it looked like Captain America was a better Thor than Thor was. So it makes Thor more of a bitch, which he was in this movie, a bitch. But it does make Captain America more badass, and since he was my favorite character in the MCU, Robert Downey Jr. being my second favorite, that was still cool to see. It was cool to see, and I guess they gave him that because, Robert Downey Jr. is going to get the final bit. So before that, give Captain America one cool ass bit too. So I'm sure there's people who are big comic book fans that lost their mind in a bad way about that. I thought that was fun. I thought that was satisfying. That scene alone I enjoyed more than anything in Infinity War, which is another reason why I put Endgame above it. So Infinity War, I thought was really fucking boring. Other than that one Missouri dipshit line, I thought it was a really boring movie. That I didn't like much of anything in Infinity War. Like, I really do hate Infinity War. I thought that's easily one of the most maybe the most overrated MCU film. Because there are people who don't like Endgame, but people like kiss the feet of Infinity War. I would say that's the most overrated, in my opinion. I never understood the love for it. It was a chore to sit through at the end. At least, I would flip through it. Even flipping through it was a chore. Endgame, I actually stopped and watched certain scenes here and there, and I could enjoy some of Endgame. Infinity War, that one line that I mentioned, is all I enjoyed. Because again, I didn't like the fights. I didn't give a shit about Thanos. I didn't care about the other bad guys. Doctor Strange seemed like a wimpy pussy. So did Thor. So did Hulk. Technically, everybody has to because you gotta lose. And he didn't really get much in terms of character, except bits between Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Pratt. And yeah, like I said, I don't like either one, but Endgame I'll pick. So I'm sorry. I know that was rambling, but I don't want this to be a hour-long video. Thanks for watching. Take care. Wish this cat would shut up. But I think if you can't hear him, he's still mourning the loss of Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man. But don't worry. You will see him again in Doctor Doom. If you heard that. If you didn't hear that, he meowed loudly, and I guess he's pissed about that too. So, you're not alone. Most people said, why? But Robert Downey Jr., he didn't pay a shitload of money. More like the fuck you retired money. You think he had got enough money, but I guess, hey, they want to pay me all this and they begged? Okay. I guess, to be honest, I would do the same thing, so I can't blame him for it. But yeah. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.